Hello, everyone. Today we're going to delve into a thrilling case involving a college student who was found dead at a public swimming pool. Although the police gathered several key clues, the case turned out to be far more complicated than initially anticipated. During the investigation, detectives uncovered chilling details that eventually unraveled the mystery. Alexandra Kemp was born on October 11, 1982, in Leawood, Kansas, a small city with a population of over 30,000, located in the prosperous suburbs of Kansas City. Alexandra grew up with her parents and two older brothers. As a child, she loved exploring the alleys of her city. Energetic and active, she participated in 19 sports teams and various activities throughout her school years. Particularly fond of soccer, Alexandra excelled academically and graduated high school in 2001. She then pursued a degree in ecology at Kansas State University, aspiring to build a career helping others. In 2002, she planned to join an exchange program to support orphans in Russia after completing her freshman year. At 19, Alexandra returned home for summer break, planning to find a part-time job and spend time with family and friends before heading back to school. She eagerly anticipated reuniting with her longtime boyfriend, Phil. The two had been together for 5 years. Despite attending different universities, summer break was their only opportunity to be together. They both found jobs at the local public pool, where Alexandra's younger brother also worked shifts. On Thursday, June 18th, Alexandra took a shift to cover for Phil. Initially, she had planned to ask him to stay a little longer, but she changed her mind since they had a date that evening. That day, the weather was overcast. Attendance at the pool was low, and a tragic event unfolded. Alexandra was seated at a desk, reading a book to pass the time until her shift ended. That evening, her brother arrived at the pool for his shift but couldn't find her. Alexandra's belongings, including her phone and keys, were left unattended on the desk. Worried, her brother searched the area but couldn't locate her and called their parents. Her father, Roger Kemp, rushed to the scene, deeply alarmed by the unusual circumstances. Knowing Alexandra would never leave her belongings unattended without reason, he meticulously searched the premises. He eventually entered the pump room, a dimly lit area that initially seemed unremarkable. However, before leaving, he spotted a blue tarp in the corner, with a foot sticking out from underneath it. His heart sank as he approached and found Alexandra lying motionless, covered in blood and bruises, showing no signs of life. Additionally, her shorts and underwear were missing. Roger immediately called for an ambulance, but medical professionals were unable to save her. Alexandra was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. An autopsy revealed Alexandra suffered severe head trauma and died from strangulation. Her body bore signs of a struggle, indicating she had fought back against her attacker. Police launched an investigation and found crucial evidence at the scene. A first aid kit had been opened, and a bottle of medication was lying on the floor near where Alexandra was discovered. The bottle was sent to a lab, where forensic experts found male DNA on the bottle and its cap. Biological samples from the cap also matched DNA found on Alexandra's clothing, providing the first leads in this horrific case. After comparing all DNA samples, experts determined they belonged to the same man, but his profile wasn't in the FBI database. Investigators turned their attention to potential suspects, starting with Alexandra's boyfriend, Phil. Given the brutality of the crime, they suspected the attacker might have had a personal motive. Phil testified that after his shift, he had visited friends, and his alibi was confirmed by multiple people. Additionally, Phil provided a DNA sample, which did not match the perpetrators. Alexandra's father and brothers also volunteered their DNA samples, yielding similar results. Roger Kemp was devastated. He spent the entire night at the morgue beside his daughter's body, unwilling to leave her. The next day, as many townspeople gathered to offer their condolences, Roger delivered a heartfelt speech, vowing to find Alexandra's killer at any cost. The news of the crime quickly spread, shocking the tight-knit community unaccustomed to such violence. Police received numerous tips, and soon, a breakthrough emerged. Some individuals who had visited the pool the day before the murder reported seeing a suspicious man loitering around the area. He was spotted staring at people from behind bushes and even recording them. Others reported seeing a man matching his description driving a beige Ford pickup truck in the pool's parking lot. However, no one recognized him, and he did not appear to be a regular visitor. Phil mentioned a troubling detail. Alexandra had previously expressed unease about working alone, feeling as though someone was watching her. Although she hadn't identified anyone suspicious, witness accounts led police to suspect the unknown man might be involved. Another clue came from Alexandra's friend Laurel. Around 3 p.m. on the day of the murder, Alexandra had called Laurel, saying she felt bored. Laurel decided to drive to the pool to visit her. Upon arriving, she honked her horn several times to signal Alexandra. However, instead of Alexandra, a man emerged from the pump room and waved at her. Believing the man to be Alexandra's supervisor, Laurel thought her visit might be disruptive and decided to leave. When informed of this, detectives believed the man might be the murderer. Based on Laurel's description, they created a composite sketch of the suspect and distributed it to local newspapers and TV stations. Phil spearheaded a flyer distribution campaign with the help of friends and volunteers. Thousands of flyers featuring the suspect's sketch and description were spread across town. Despite these efforts, the killer remained elusive. Roger Kemp refused to give up. He offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to the suspect's arrest. However, this incentive didn't yield results. Eventually, Roger decided to erect a billboard along a busy highway he frequently traveled. After discussing the idea with police, he learned they lacked the budget to fund it and would have to cover the costs himself. Upon contacting a billboard company, he was moved by their generosity when they offered the space for free after learning about Alexandra's case. Together with the police, Roger designed a billboard featuring the suspect sketch, contact information, and the $50,000 reward. Following the billboard's installation, the police received an influx of tips. Within weeks, police had over 1,000 leads to investigate. They carefully reviewed each one and soon identified promising clues. Some individuals reported the suspect's resemblance to a local man named James Stater. Detectives quickly questioned him. Stater claimed to have been working at the time of the murder, an alibi confirmed by his employer, temporarily eliminating him as a suspect. However, a new lead connected Stater to the case when police discovered he owned a vehicle similar to one seen at the crime scene. Further investigation revealed Stater was wanted in 2 other states for a series of crimes committed within 3 weeks. He was accused of 3 sexual assaults, 2 kidnappings, and other offenses. In one incident, Stater attacked his ex-girlfriend and forced her to drive around looking for a victim. After breaking into someone's home to steal money, he abducted a 14-year-old girl, assaulting both her and his ex-girlfriend before abandoning them. Later, Stater tricked another woman into letting him into her home under the pretense of a broken-down car, then attacked and kidnapped her. This victim managed to escape. Stater was eventually apprehended in Utah after attempting to steal gas. During a vehicle check, police discovered his wanted status for kidnapping and assault. During interrogation, Stater laughed and remarked that they should handcuff him. When investigators in Alexandra's case learned about Stater, they immediately reached out to colleagues in other states to obtain his DNA sample. However, the lab results were an unexpected twist. Stater's DNA did not match the samples found on Alexandra's clothing or the medicine container. Ultimately, Stater was sentenced to life imprisonment for his other crimes. However, Alexandra's case remained unsolved. Detectives continued their investigation for months but made no progress. In the fall of 2004, detectives received intriguing news. Someone called the police, claiming the composite sketch of the suspect resembled a man he knew named Teddy Hoover. Upon investigating Hoover, police discovered he lived in Kansas City and worked for a pool maintenance company. Additionally, Hoover's name had appeared in the case file. He was one of the people present at the pool when Alexandra's body was discovered. Hoover had been questioned along with others at the time, but did not raise any suspicions. Police visited Hoover's residence to ask additional questions about the case. However, Hoover claimed he couldn't remember where he had been on the day of the incident, as it had been 2 years. When the police requested a DNA sample, Hoover refused, stating he needed to consult a lawyer first. While Hoover remained a suspect, the police lacked evidence to charge him. When detectives decided to question Hoover again, they discovered he and his girlfriend had vanished. Their whereabouts were unclear, increasing suspicion. About a month later, an anonymous tip revealed that Hoover and his girlfriend were now living in Connecticut, over 1,000 miles away from Kansas City. Hoover's sudden relocation after being scrutinized only heightened police suspicions. Detectives contacted the Postal Service to determine Hoover's new address but found no information. However, when they searched for his girlfriend's name, they got a hit. She was receiving mail at an address in the small town of Bantam, Connecticut. Strangely, a man named Benjamin Appleby was also listed as receiving mail at the same address. Upon investigating Appleby's background, detectives found a long criminal record, including robberies and assaults. Intriguingly, Hoover also had a record of similar offenses, including an outstanding warrant for public indecency. The coincidence made police suspect something unusual. A mail carrier who regularly delivered to the girlfriend's address provided additional suspicious information, heightening concerns about Hoover and Appleby. According to the mail carrier, only 2 people were ever seen at the house, and based on the description, the person identified as Appleby closely resembled Teddy Hoover. The detectives sought assistance from their colleagues in Connecticut to verify. Upon visiting the house, they confirmed that Teddy Hoover was indeed living there, leading to his arrest on the outstanding public indecency warrant. Meanwhile, the detectives handling Alexandra's case traveled to Connecticut to prepare for questioning Hoover. They set up an interrogation room with photos of the victim, the crime scene, and other evidence, hoping the visuals would prompt Hoover to confess. When brought into the interrogation room, Hoover immediately appeared uneasy upon seeing the evidence displayed. Within minutes, Hoover admitted that his real name was Benjamin Appleby and that the name Teddy Hoover was an alias he had taken from a deceased friend to avoid arrest. Initially, Benjamin denied any involvement in Alexandra's death. However, after only 10 minutes of questioning, he began recounting the events. Benjamin confessed that on the day of the murder, he went to the pool to meet the manager and offer his company's cleaning services. While there, he saw Alexandra and was instantly attracted to her. Alexandra was in the pump room, and Benjamin approached her to strike up a conversation. Although Alexandra politely responded to his compliments, she showed no interest. Nevertheless, Benjamin persisted, making more compliments, which made Alexandra uncomfortable as she tried to leave. As Alexandra attempted to exit the room, Benjamin blocked the door and tried to touch her. Alexandra pushed him away, which angered Benjamin. He began assaulting Alexandra, striking her repeatedly and removing her clothes with the intent to sexually assault her. At that moment, Benjamin heard a car horn outside and panicked. Fearing discovery, he strangled Alexandra to death, covered her body with a tarp, and quickly fled the pump room. As he exited, Benjamin saw Laurel, Alexandra's friend, sitting in her car. He waved at her to appear normal. Laurel drove away, and Benjamin also left the scene. However, he returned shortly afterward and arrived just as first responders were removing Alexandra's body from the pump room. At that point, Benjamin was questioned by police but skillfully avoided raising suspicion. In his confession, Benjamin claimed he didn't understand why he had committed such a horrific act, expressing regret and stating that he genuinely liked Alexandra. However, once Alexandra pushed him away, he lost control of himself. After securing his confession, detectives obtained Benjamin's DNA sample and sent it to the lab. The results confirmed a match with the samples found on Alexandra's clothing and the medicine container at the scene. When asked why he had tampered with the medical supplies, Benjamin stated he was looking for something in the first aid kit to use as a lubricant. The day after his arrest, Benjamin hired a lawyer and attempted to retract his confession. This contradicted his earlier statement that he didn't want Alexandra's family to endure a trial. Nevertheless, with irrefutable DNA evidence, Benjamin's chances of escaping conviction were slim. At the trial, Benjamin's lawyer argued that the murder was unintentional. However, there was no evidence to support that narrative. In 2005, Benjamin was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to a minimum of 50 years in prison. This meant he would not be eligible for parole until 2054. And even then, it was not guaranteed. At 29 years old at the time of sentencing, it was likely that Benjamin would spend the rest of his life in prison. After his conviction, Benjamin made several appeals, all of which failed. Each attempt was a heavy emotional burden for Alexandra's family. Her father, Roger, worked tirelessly to ensure that his daughter's killer would never be released. To honor Alexandra's memory, her parents launched a program offering self-defense classes for women. The initiative gained widespread support, helping tens of thousands of women learn vital self-defense skills. Not only was this a way to remember Alexandra, but it also had a profound impact on promoting women's safety and raising awareness of personal security. The family's efforts earned recognition at the highest level. Alexandra's father, Roger, was invited to the White House to meet President Barack Obama, who presented him with an award for his contributions in organizing self-defense classes. The president also highlighted the importance of the initiative and praised Roger's idea of using billboard advertising to share information about wanted criminals. This innovative approach, never before used in such cases, had proven effective in solving Alexandra's murder. Thank you for taking the time to follow this story. Please share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to continue supporting this channel.